Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 43. Did you get word from Chappie? Monroe asked as the truck bounced along the broken road. Cassidy has more fighters. The delivery was a success. He's already back in Reno, Cole replied flatly. No doubt wasting his day at Dolores's, Monroe speculated. Cole scowled, but he nodded and agreed. No doubt, but he better have the supply room rotated and be ready to help unload. Monroe smirked at Cole's response. He's not a man to slough his responsibilities. For the love of a loose woman, I think Chappie would give up just about anything, Cole teased. Monroe chuckled, steering the truck around a pothole. Recovering, he replied dreamily, He'll find one he loves one day. Cole lifted his eyebrow, asking curiously, Like Ginger? Or like Cassidy, Monroe suggested. Not like Cassidy, Cole defended sternly. She's too focused on the task at hand. Look who's talking. As they pulled into Reno, Cole commanded, When we get back, I want these supplies loaded on the double. I'm looking forward to some time off, and I don't want to be bothered with it. Nice subject change, Monroe said with a smile. I could say the same, Cole countered. About what? Monroe's voice rose in defense. You certainly didn't elaborate on Ginger much, Cole explained. It's a tough time for relationships, Virgis. Cole laughed, agreeing. Ain't that the truth? The radio crackled, and Jessup's voice sounded. Sir, we have Bay 12 ready for your truck, sir. Picking up the radio, Cole replied, 10-4, we're pulling in now. Monroe brought the truck to a stop in front of the guard. Waving at him, they rolled through as the gate opened. Monroe navigated the mercenary base, pulling the truck into a docking bay. You got this handled, Monroe? Cole asked, weary from the day. You know I do, sir. I'm going back to my office to make sure no fires are burning, Cole thought out loud as he left. Cole navigated the building and headed toward his office. Private Jessup awaited his arrival, saluting as Cole approached. At ease, Private, Cole told him, opening the door to his office. Good to see you, sir, Jessup welcomed him home. Report, Private, Cole requested. He continued through his office to his bedroom and began emptying his pockets. Our convoy of trucks just came back from Empire. They need more tires and oil, plus the team hunting the rebels up north were successful, and they're transporting them to the camp in Montana, sir, Jessup told him, following him as Cole returned to the office and poured himself a shot of whiskey. Can the Montana camp take them? He asked, drinking from the glass. They're transporting a load of refugees to the east for factory labor, so yeah, they have the room, sir. What's the weather report? Cole inquired. Looks like a storm might hit in a day or so, sir, Jessup answered. Bennett and Bingham are going to come up for a visit, Cole informed him, pouring another drink. It's nothing severe. They should have an easy go at getting up here, sir. Good, Cole breathed a sigh of relief, taking the bottle to his desk and sitting down. The private stammered, standing awkwardly in front of the desk. There's one more thing, sir. What's that? Cole wondered. General McClintock assigned his son to your detail. He wants him by your side, sir, Jessup informed him. Cole smiled, looking at Jessup eagerly. Johnny? I haven't seen him for years. He must be damn near 20 years old now. Where is he? Well, that's the thing, sir. What? Cole got a feeling he wasn't going to like what the private had to say. Sergeant Chappie took him over to Dolores's place after the supply room was organized, Jessup explained. Cole stood up from his desk. He did what? Chappie's supposed to be down in the supply room moving incoming. Well, after they got it organized, the sergeant said the work was done and it was time for some R&R, sir. I bet he did. Stay here. I'll be back, Cole mumbled as he walked out the door. The music thumped heavily as they entered Dolores's place, and the party inside was in full swing. Jennifer watched him enter and left the man she was with to greet him. Major Virgis, I didn't know you were back in town. I just got in, Cole replied flatly. You looking for a good time? She wondered, observing him. No, you're looking for something else. What are you after, Major? I'm looking for Chappie and a young man he brought in with him, Cole told her, scanning the dancing throng. Chappie's over at the tables on the other side of the club. I'm not sure where his friend went, Jennifer told him, pointing the way. Thank you, Jennifer, Cole told her with a wink. He walked around the dancers. The music quieted as he approached the table Chappie was at. Two young women sat with him, enamored by his story. You rescued all those people by yourself? A girl with shoulder-length, curly red hair asked. All in a day's work, ladies, Chappie slurred back, puffing up his chest. He smiled widely, watching Cole approach. Virgis, how nice to see you. Ladies, would you please excuse us, Cole asked. Rising from their chairs, the women went to stand on the edge of the dancers. Don't go far, ladies, Chappie called in a drunken drawl. That supply room better be in tip-top shape, Cole snapped. You know I always put business before pleasure, sir. What's the problem, Chappie wondered. What about unloading, Cole wondered. You were serious about that? There's a crew down there, and Monroe has his team with him, Chappie explained. You should be there, Cole told him sternly. Johnny is here? Where is he? Chappie's face glowed mischievously as he explained. Oh, yeah. That boy's all grown up. Quite a looker, too. The ladies loved him. McClintock puts him in my care, and you bring him here? Did you even show him a bunk first? Cole asked. I wasn't sure where you wanted him, and I wasn't going to leave him alone, Chappie defended. Really? Where is he? Cole insisted. Chappie looked around curiously again. Good question. I think he went off with Candy. Damn it, Chappie. I'll find him, sir, Chappie slurred, wobbling as he got up from his chair. You stay here. I'll find him, Cole commanded, unimpressed with Chappie's efforts. Yes, sir, he replied humbly. Surveying the floor, Cole didn't see Johnny or Candy amongst the dancers. He went towards the back of the club and climbed the stairs. Upstairs, a hallway separated rooms on either side. A young woman stood at the top. Major Virgis, sir, can I help you find something? She asked. I'm looking for the young man Chappie came with, Cole explained. Johnny? He's in room 3 with Candy, she told him. Thank you, he replied, heading down the hall to the indicated door. He could hear the sound of them making love on the other side. Throwing the door open, Johnny looked back surprised. Major Virgis? Johnny slurred drunkenly. Get your clothes on and get out here, Cole snapped the order. Yes, sir, Johnny said worriedly. Cole could hear rapid shuffling on the door's other side, and it suddenly burst open. Johnny ran to him and threw his arms around him, just about knocking Cole over. Hi, Virgis, Johnny called. Unclenching the young man from himself, Cole pushed him back. Get the hell off me. You smell like booze and women. Johnny stiffened himself a little, apologizing. Oh, sorry, Virgis. It's so good to see you. It's good to see you too, Johnny. You've grown up, Cole said affectionately. Pops couldn't keep me in the training facility any longer, so he sent me out here to you, Johnny declared in his drunken stupor. Utterly disappointed by his behavior, Cole cursed, Damn it, Johnny. Show the man respect. He's the leader of the mercenary forces, but more than that, he's your father. Johnny shook his head, declaring, Still harping on the same old lines you told me when I was 10? Cole grabbed the young man by the scruff of the neck, insisting, You're going to cut that shit right now. That's no way to address a superior. Come on, I can't talk to you with this damn music blasting. I like it, Johnny declared jovially. Move, now, Cole insisted, pushing him towards the stairs. Johnny followed Cole down the stairs and met Chappie at the table. Chappie, get your ass up and come with us, Cole commanded. The quiet of the night was deafening as they left the club's thumping. The two men didn't say anything as Cole marched them across the base into his office. Sit down, you two. Chappie, I expected more from you, Cole commented as he went to his chair. The work was done. We was just waiting on you, Chappie explained as he sat down in the chair. Monroe and his team are down there stacking supplies now, where you should be, Cole snapped, standing back up. What's the point of all this work if we don't get time to relax? Chappie fought back drunkenly. You had 2 days of R&R coming up, Cole declared, sitting back down. Had? Chappie asked pitifully. You can kiss them goodbye now, Cole replied. That's bullshit and you know it, Chappie argued. No, this is bullshit. You sloughed your work detail and took the general's son to the brothel, Cole explained in disbelief. Monroe's got it handled down there, and the kid needed a break. It was a long trip. Chappie smiled mischievously again. Go get some sleep. I can't talk to you right now. In the morning, you're on gate duty, Cole commanded, dismissing him. Chappie angrily stood up, replying, Yes, sir. He stomped out of the office. Frustrated with the entire situation, Cole explained calmly, Johnny, you're my responsibility, and this behavior is unacceptable no matter how much you've been drinking. Yes, sir. I know, sir, Johnny answered humbly. You should have waited for me to get here and received your assignments before any partying began, Cole commanded. I know, Virgis. It's just Johnny tried to explain. Cole slammed his hand on the desk and looked directly into Johnny's eyes. You will address me as Major? Major Virgis? Or Sir? Do you understand? Yes, sir, Johnny answered. I am not your babysitter. I am your commanding officer, and you will do well to remember that, Cole demanded. Yes, sir, I know, sir, but Johnny tried to explain again. Cole slammed his hands down on the desk, standing up. There is no but. Private Jessup, get in here, he called. The door opened and Cole snapped. Take Private McClintock and clear the supply room next to mine. Put a bunk in there and make certain he stays there and sleeps this off. Yes, sir, he replied quickly. Cole looked back at Johnny, telling him, Private McClintock, we will discuss your assignment in the morning. Yes, sir, Johnny said, leaving with Jessup. Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 442, season 15, episode 43. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Chin's up, y'all.
And we've got L. Douglas Hogan in the house. What's going on, Doug?
What it is.
Yeah. Doug's here to help us with discuss some current events because it's been a lot of fun as of late. So, well, we're going to have to do some current event stuff here on the Changing Earth today. All right. So that's first on my docket is World War III possibly started, 2 days ago now?
Yeah, it did. I think, cool. I saw the first thing I saw with the, you're referring to the bombing, the Iranian bombing of Israel?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I saw something from the first report was on the 12th, and they were reporting the day prior. So Epic Times is where I got my source, and they were saying yesterday this happened, so.
Yeah, I was up super late that night because I'm always up late working on the audio drama. And, so I was right there watching it when the missiles started flying that night. And I was like, that's great.
Oh, here it goes.
Yeah. The picture, they had a picture of like the leaders in front of the four missiles. And I was like, wow. I had just watched a show on Moses and how people act like Pharaoh. They call people Pharaoh, and all I could think about was like, these are pharaohs standing in front of these missiles, man. This is just crazy stuff.
They like that stuff, and especially because they gain a lot of clout in the Islamic world. They do that kind of stuff because they're like, they're all praising Allah. Like if somebody's big enough to stand up to the United States, then all of them all over the world are patting each other on the back.
Yeah, and I don't disagree that there's a lot of corruption within the United States that needs to be removed. But at the core of our country is just goodness. And if we can bring that back, that would be most excellent. So I do disagree and agree. But so kind of just break it down. What happened? What does this mean for us? Like, how is this relevant? You'll hear rumors of war, right? So how... what do they think that's going to be knocking on our doorstep?
Yeah, so basically, when Jesus was talking to the apostles, and usually there was always a crowd that was gathering around him, and they were asking him questions about the end times. And he would normally talk about things like, signs in the skies. And he would often tell people to watch Israel. And he would compare Israel in the Bible has always been compared to the fig tree or the fig leaf.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the one thing was to watch when he said when the fig leaf begins to blossom, I believe might have been a good word for it. That might not be the exact word, but when it begins to bloom, that's a better word. Begins to bloom, then you know the time is nigh. And so I think before that can bloom in Israel, we're looking for not just this war would be a sign, but also that all nations, the Bible said, to come against Israel, and there's also going to be some kind of agreement or a contract which needs to be met and made, and that hasn't happened yet. And the rebuilding of the temple, which at this time, the Dome of the Rock is sitting on it. Yep. So that could be an issue because they're supposed to share that with the Gentiles, which would be anybody that's not a Jew. In this case, it'd be the Palestinians because they're worshiping Allah, in that spot. So, it's relevant in that case because we know when there's going to be a big war with Israel and all nations are coming against Israel, or at least many nations coming against Israel, that contract, that agreement, that peace accord cannot be achieved or reached until there's at least a big war of some type. So you know that you're getting close when you start to see stuff like this happening.
What was there's been a lot of talk about with the red heifer or whatever.
Right.
Sacrifice.
Yeah. So remember, Jews are still the Old Testament, right? They're still following the law.
Right.
Albeit not doing it very well. They still believe that they're under the old covenant. They're not under the new covenant like Christians are. Uh-huh. That being said, they no longer have a temple to make their sacrifices in. And the law calls for a perfect red heifer. And so that's been something that they haven't had in a while. And in recent years, they've been able to get a perfect red heifer. And I think the Bible calls it without blemish. So that means there's no growths on it. There's no,
no more
spots.
than 2 black hairs is what I read.
There you go. So it's got to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And so I believe they acquired 1 or 2, and they're breeding them
from Texas. So, I thought it was a bunch of them.
But here's the thing: also, you just can't take an American heifer raised cow. I mean, an American raised heifer, and offer it. That's not a sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Somebody needs to raise it. A Jew needs to raise it, and there needs to be some effort, some time, some energy put into it to make it a sacrifice.
It's true
because it has to be offered up.
Even when they used to bring like the goat inside their house that they were going to sacrifice, bring it in and like develop that relationship with it for like a week before it was sacrificed. So it like had to have specific meaning to you. So you're right. They would be doing something similar with the red heifers. I heard they were going to do it like before Easter, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure how my study. I'm not up to all my studies with how Easter, the resurrection. No, I know. Got to be the Passover day,
right?
And a little bit of time between the Passover and our Easter, but I'm not sure it's within a few hours, if not a day.
So what are you more concerned about, like us actually, like the United States citizenry actually facing war on our doorstep, or the United States citizenry going into complete shock and awe because of the rapid inflation we're about to face?
Oh, geez. Yeah. So the United States has always been a war machine, right? We've always come. Some of the best wars we fought, we rebounded the best during a war and immediately after a war. And it's like when the United States, look at World War I, World War II, we weren't doing well financially as a country, but war rebounded us. And I don't know how it is. I guess it creates jobs, it creates marketing, it creates opportunity.
Industrialization.
Yes. And Germany did the same thing under Adolf Hitler. They weren't doing well either. But he became industrial, military complex pretty much.
Volkswagen and all that as well, yeah.
So countries that do it right that know how to make war can capitalize on that and come out of a recession. So I don't really concern myself. I'm more concerned about the centralized digital currency than anything. I'm not concerned about so much an economic crash that I'm sure it's going to happen, but I think that could bring about the CDC, the centralized digital currency.
They should certainly have gotten quiet about their sneaky moves there, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Biden's actually done some executive orders to address it and to oversee it because you can't, the Constitution calls for precious metal, I believe. Mm-hmm. So, in fact, I know it does. Point being, digital currency is not constitutional. And so unless they could find a way to back it somehow with precious metals, gold and silver and stuff like this, it's not going to be constitutional.
No way they can with the price of gold at what it is right now. There's just no way.
Yeah, and then so it becomes a problem in that regard. So we're going to need to step back away from some of that. And some of these speaking engagements that I go on, I'm asking people to talk to their congresspersons to I call it resist the switch. We don't need it. We don't want it. It's bad because if it's centralized, that means that that means the mark of the beast is just around the corner.
Yeah, I've seen. So I'm with Wells Fargo, huge bank, right? And I'm also with a little Texas bank, a little local Texas bank, because I thought, best to like diversify that stuff out. Even the little Texas bank now sent a thing out, and they're like, oh, deposits that are made, this day will now hit, same day. And I was like, that is the centralized, the side program they rolled out. And supposedly to make transactions faster, but it's part of the necessary updates to go to that digital currency.
Yeah. And then you got things like, a blockchain coming about where it's basically data that can't be altered. Once you, for example, make a purchase, it can't be deleted and removed. It can be forever tracked and stored. Mm-hmm. And then you got, the Internet of Things or IoT. If you Google it up and look at it, they're trying to mobile solutions. They're trying to put everything mobile, so that when smart cities come around, everything that you do will be tracked via your smart device. But Who needs a smart device? Maybe people get smart and they decide that they don't want to be tracked, so they stop. I'm not going to buy a cell phone. Hence the mark of the beast that no man might buy or sell unless they carry the mark. So this number that would be put possibly into a microchip into your body could be tracked. And so it just takes a simple scan, and that number that's assigned to you goes back to a system where all your information is stored.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, trippy stuff. I developed the one for my book that's like around your artery and has the barcode and everything on you. I've seen now that chip, because they had the little like grain of rice ones, right? That were just like really basic. But this one is a square on the wrist, and it actually has a piece that goes down into you so that it can run your vitals and all of that kind of stuff as well, for your protection. Right.
Yeah, they're going to sell everything to us in safety and security. We'll be the flag.
Benjamin Franklin, you give up freedom for security, liberty's dead.
You don't deserve it either. Yep. But think about it. We've been using this code system for years. How long have we been going to the store and picking stuff up off the shelves and barcodes on it? We scan it. That scanner bar has numbers on it, and those numbers tells the server what that product is, everything about that product, who made it, where it came from, what the ingredients are, how much it costs, when you pay for it, everything. And it's going to be the same thing with us, except it's going to be a number assigned to you that'll be in your person. Yeah,
and if you're like slave labor at that point with this tracking code on you, like there's nowhere to go where you couldn't be found because of the system. So like the reason slavery didn't really work in the past is because your asset could run away. But if you can't run away or do anything because of the system, then you're done. That's it.
The only way it will work running away with that in your body is, let's say you can't get it out for whatever reason, is if you get away from any kind of readers. But who's to say that they won't somehow scour the skies or litter the skies with drone type things
or satellite?
Yeah, that can read you, and since pick that up, kind of like a drone could do with the body heat or a GPS system.
Right. Then your asset is a forever asset.
Right. And then also with the centralized digital currency, I was talking about my last podcast. I had a gentleman, Sean Patrick.
That was a great interview you did with him.
Thanks. Did you hear that? Like, I asked him about some of this stuff, and once this kind of a device is in your body, and then you got the central digital currency thing going down, what's to stop them from shutting down your bank, right? And taking full control. If they don't say you bought a Gadsden Culpeper flag from Amazon or from some Patriot supply store. Oh, we don't like him. He's already got, he's been making too many of these funny things, purchases. So let's just close his bank account and teach him a lesson.
Yep. Exactly.
For long, they're already doing it now, putting devices in vehicles to shut them down manually.
Yes.
Right.
Remotely.
Required by 2025 even? I can't remember the exact day. I know it's definitely by 2030 that they're going to put devices in your car so that, for your safety, again, if you're not physically capable, of driving that vehicle, they can just shut it off.
Right.
Yeah. No, you can just stay the heck out of my everything. I don't know. I'm not a fan of technology. The more I think I'm turning Amish.
Well, they're doing something right, aren't they?
Right? Yeah.
Back on the because you asked the question about how pretty much in a nutshell how does this affect the United States?
Yeah.
Because and that was just kind of as we was talking, the scripture came to mind in Revelations, and the only word I can remember is the wings of an eagle, and I hit some keywords into my Bible, my electronic Bible search. Revelations 12:14, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and time and a half. So that's talking about the midway point of the not the abomination of desolation. That's halfway through the final 7 years, the tribulation period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the woman is always believed to be Israel in this passage of scripture, and nobody really knows too much about the eagle. But the United States' symbol has always been an eagle. So I'm wondering if us being one of Israel's only allies might not be that eagle that carries Israel away, or is able to assist them and get them away on airplanes to evacuate them from the land.
Yeah, because it's clear that the city will be evacuated, run to the mountains as it's destroyed. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Jesus was talking about this time, saying it's.
That's Revelations. I think it's the end of Matthew also has it in there. There's quite a few, maybe. There's quite a few spots, though, that it makes mention of that same thing befalling Israel. So, Yeah,
one just has to crack open a concordance and look up the word, do some studies, some keyword searches in a concordance, and it tells you everywhere where this stuff is mentioned in all the books of the gospel and in the book of Revelations. You can do all kinds of in concordances and Bible study books and find this stuff. Bible dictionaries are a good source.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're awesome, too. It's got so much of the wording, you're like, what? And so those concordance Bibles, just help you out. The Stroms, the language. Stroms. Yeah, yep, spam. My son's very much a green, so I got him, all the info at Christmas, big old dictionary and the concordance Bibles and all that. So
here's why it's so important to have such that. This is coming from me I was a preacher for 20 years, and so for your son and for the listeners, it's important that we understand what the writers of the Bible were meaning in their original language.
Yes.
Because as those things were transcribed or transliterated from an ancient form of Hebrew to now antiquated English, Old English. Mm-hmm. There's a lot lost in translation. And so you need to go back in the Strongs and some of these, because the New Testament was written in Greek, and the Old Testament was written mostly in Arabic and Hebrew. So you could see what the writer intended by looking up those words in the original. So as you read your Bible, for example, if you have a Bible that's tied in with concordance numbers, it'll have a number next to it. And then you just open up your concordance, if you're in the New Testament, to the Greek section, and if you're in the Old Testament, to the Hebrew section, and see what that word is in its original Greek or Hebrew language. And it tells you what the definition is. So you're able to get a more adequate definition or more adequate view.
Just
of what
in-depth understanding of what is actually going on. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so helpful. I agree. I appreciate you coming on because I just don't like talking about the current event stuff. Obviously, unless it's like planetary related, just because there's too many moving parts right now to try and keep track of everything and keep a clear head. People are always yakking about, what's going on in the world. And I've really put my faith in the Lord to just be able to guide my path how he sees fit. So I hate freaking out on everything that's going on, but I also want to do my part to make it better.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be freaking out. I think we should all remain calm. You can't, freaking out's not going to change anything. Nothing.
Exactly.
The whole Save the World movement, we can't, that's why, people at the Tower of Babel were their tongues were confused and they were sent off to different lands because they were trying to save themselves. We can't save ourselves. We can't save the world. Only Jesus can save us, and the world is his. So he's got to take care of.
Yes. Amen. Well, Doug, thank you for coming out. So literally everyone, I was like, hey, Doug, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. I'm like, oh, problem solved. Why don't you come on my show for So thank you for coming on such short notice. You're just the bomb, helping us have that combo.
So welcome.
Oh, thanks. Alrighty, guys. So I'm going to do some organization stuff tonight. And the reason why I wanted Doug to come on and talk about the current events and whatnot is because it's a good time to shore up your preps. And so last week we had Gregory on, and Gregory's a great guy, beginning his journey to the preparedness lifestyle. And I like to show people in all, because sometimes it seems really daunting to be like, oh, everybody's so much further prepared than I am. And so I like to really liked having him on the show because not only did he have like some cool ideas that would help get you where you need to be, but it shows you like everybody's at their space in the journey, right? This is all a journey that we're on. One of the things that I noticed was water storage, right? That is the bane of my existence. And asking Gregory about it last week, he was like, what? Water storage? So
he was thinking short.
What?
He was thinking kind of short term for the water store, like
right.
Stock up for the week. Then
yes,
not where storm, and then after the storm, it's not an issue anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Again,
exactly. And so that's why I was like, okay, we need to address this, and because I'm having a problem with it as well. Just where do you keep putting it? Where do you just keep putting water? It's really difficult. So I wanted to kind of focus there first, because if I've been into this for a lot of years, and if I'm having a problem with it, everybody, it's got to be a concern of everyone's. We all need water. CDC says 1 gallon of water per person per day. That's minimum. That's a lot of water if you start thinking about it. And we have 5 people in our household. So that's 150 gallons a month. And that's only 1 month. That's a lot of water. So what could you stock? Maybe a month, maybe 2. Also, where do you store it if you're living in urban America? Okay, if you're living in the country, great. You might have a shed or, you could put a tank out, that kind of thing. But urban America, where do you put this water to store it, right? So what did you used to do in the townhouse, Chin?
Not very well.
Yeah.
I was more the preparedness, get me through a week, couple weeks kind of thing.
Yeah.
But not a long term. But, I don't know.
Yeah. That's
I had bottled water stored. If a storm was coming or something, I'd fill up all the tubs and stuff like that. But
that's pretty much.
It
Even
would've
though
been
we
tough.
had space at our Cali house, I didn't have nearly enough. I have more here.
You had a pool, right?
Yeah, it's true. We did have the pool.
So that was like a lot of the cleaning and stuff and sanitation stuff could be taken care of with the pool. And then if you had to
That's true. That's another reason to
make
get
the
my pool
water
set back up.
you could always, figure a way to, still it or something. Use a still or something to make it drinkable.
Yes. Yeah. Distill it. Distill it's best.
Yep.
So I found a cool article from Emergency Prep Guy. Emergency Prep Guy. I think that James has had him on before. Or maybe it was Phil. Anyway, he's got a great article on different types of water storage and how that can work for you. Silver Streak put up a nice water storage pic. Yeah, that's the bomb.
Those are, if you get food safe. I forget what those are called. I just lost it. CB. I forget. There's
the certain
initial,
type of plastic.
For that container, that big. That's pretty cool because you. Well, I was going to say, if you have a tractor with a forklift, you can move them around.
Yeah, can be picked up
I
and
guess
used fairly cheap around here. Yeah, I mean,
but,
and that works if you got the storage space for it. If you're in an apartment, good luck.
Could use those to, if you do water, rainwater.
Rainwater collection?
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, that's
Ding,
what
ding,
I was
ding,
saying.
garden
As soon as you get, the IBC tote. Yep, Garden Girl, you're right.
See.
She's on it. As soon as anything goes down, you better start collecting water, first. That's just whatever you got.
Right, set one of these up to pull off of your, set it up to pull off your gutters and stuff. At least you'll have that full of water, right?
Yeah, something.
All the time. And then you can use to water plants and gardens and stuff. I'm gonna play with this.
Me as well. When I said
at my
when we
house.
build the greenhouse.
My garden stuff to take the pressure because I have a well, and now that I have my own well, I'm super conservative with water because I don't want to
overtax the well.
The well, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm gonna hook up some of these for water in the garden.
Yeah, I've seen. If you guys watch Homestead Rescue, they make all kinds of really cool water collection system to self water your greenhouse and stuff like that. So I'm gonna play with that when we're building the greenhouse. And that is my answer to the food problem because we've just our grocery bills are just going crazy right now. So I am just focused on sustaining chicken population and being able to grow their food in my greenhouse and grow our food in the greenhouse. And to be able to hedge that food bill, man, it's crazy. Too much. Okay, so basically, there's plastic jugs. You can do that. He did have a good way for sanitizing them. Teaspoon of bleach with a quart of water, cover it, shake it, let it air dry, of course. You got to let bleach air dry to be effective. And then also the big bins. So there's all kinds of big bins you can buy that'll do the job. As far as apartment living, things like that, best systems I've seen are it sucks because if one broke, that would suck so bad. But they have the bladders you can put under your bed and stuff like that. So people were saying you can store.
If it breaks, sucks.
I know, man. That'd be the worst. It's like having a waterbed or something. So for the jugs to just be sure it's sanitary, yes, for sure. That's always best practice. But we also, I have the really nice Alexa Pure and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe I'm putting too much faith in my filter, but, they can do pond water and still make it good. So, storage tanks. They also have the stackable ones. I would like to see those stackable ones. I'm running out of space for water jugs in my garage. So
yeah, the one that stack like interlock and stack. Those are pretty.
Yeah, and I think that like they would be affordable enough for me to like buy 4, and then buy 4, and then buy 4. And just like do it slowly. Yeah,
kind of like you do with like food, right? You buy a case of cans.
Yeah, you just don't go and buy the year's supply.
Next weeks or a month or whatever, you buy another case, and then you just start building up.
Exactly. So that's kind of my thought, because like I say, I'm running out of space. The other thing is that for water storage is the visibility of it. That's what else gets me. Somebody walks in my garage, they're delivering a box or whatnot, and I've got like a billion water jugs. Like, oh, what are you guys doing? It's like everybody should, but
cover, right?
I know. I'll have to figure out something.
Figure out a way to put something in front of it.
Yeah, I really need to, because they're just everywhere. They're everywhere. So
just put any. I mean,
I don't know. The article too. One interesting thing was like, don't store them directly on the concrete or on the ground. I mean, I wouldn't store them on the ground, but on the concrete even, because it can affect the taste of the water. And I'm like, well, that water is probably going to be like at least 5 months old by the time I ever drink it. So I think there's going to be a effect of the flavor of the water anyway. Kool-Aid packets. You won't taste that water at all. It's good.
I have a bunch of Gatorade.
Yeah, Gatorade pack. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna run a little over today, but I thought it was worth doing a longer show just because of the turmoil that's happening right now. Okay. Food. So being able to store food, right? We got our canned, we got our long term, we got our fresh. We got to keep it in good temperature, moisture, oxygen, light, past time. That's what's going to hurt them. So where to store it? Because some people don't have built-in awesome areas like somebody I know, Mr. Co-host, his new awesome area, right? And so it gets really interesting on like, where do you start storing?
You had to be creative.
Right? Yeah.
You really have to be creative. Like I turned closets into pantries. I took closets, I double stacked the closets so they could hold twice as much clothes, and then I used the old closet to
store. Yep.
Stack, you know what I mean? And then
I mean, like, how much of that stuff do you really need? Is it more important to have your food storage?
Yeah, you have to find...
Or like all this crap you don't actually wear, So they... oh, go ahead.
A lot. I had we had like a closet downstairs that was, I guess, supposed to be a cloak closet or something. And I double stacked it. We used it for off-season clothes, right? So in our bed closet, we had our clothes that we wore for every day, and then we would switch out, summer, winter. So we used 2 closets for clothes, and then we had
and then you were switching gear so that you didn't overload it. You're keeping other things in boxes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so backdoorsurvival.com had a good article on this one that I like. And I like the backdoorsurvival.com website. If you guys haven't checked it out, the gal that originally started it, she was really, really nice. I know she sold it since then because it's been like 6 years, 7, 8, something like that now. Maybe even 10 since I've been on that website. Anyway, it's been too long. I published my first book. It'll be the 10-year anniversary, June of 2024. So I'm just throwing that out there. Anyway, shelves under the stairs. Great idea. Shelves behind the clothes in the closet, like you're saying. Oh, how much junk do we have on our top shelf above where we hang the clothes, right? I mean, that's all wasted space. Shelves on the back of doors. So I don't know about putting it like on the door itself, but like behind the door. That could work. You could do a whole can rack there.
You could. I mean, it can't do this in an apartment, but like if you own a house, you could put storage. You can make built-in shelves by cutting away sheetrock between studding, right, and make shelving and make
Legit.
it ornate or on the front of it, so you can gain.
Yeah,
you just have to think out.
Yeah,
Underneath guest beds, guest closets. I mean, there's tons of areas you could.
Above the fridge, that was another one. That's a pretty good one. Tons of wasted space there usually.
Oh, yeah, you had that one cap.
Our co-host. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Lisa.
Cabinet above the cabinet above the refrigerator is only like 12 inches deep. Replace it with a 24-inch deep, and that doubles the storage you had above the refrigerator. And that for like dry goods, you know, if you're storing pasta and oatmeal and all this kind of dry goods. I mean, cans might get kind of weighty up there.
Right.
But I mean, it's a way to double your storage.
Yeah, because it's on top of the fridge anyway.
But yeah,
that makes sense. Lisa, one of our co-hosts on PBN, she is always, she does, you know, her show about like how to store it in small spots. And we were talking the other day, and she's using file cabinets for all her canned goods, like the metal ones.
That's a good idea.
It's a slamming idea.
Craigslist, like.
Yeah, so cheap. Because everybody's getting rid of the metal, the old school metal ones. And they're built to hold like a lot of pounds of paper, you know?
Right.
So they'll hold your cans. And then I've seen them.
And then you can go to like office. There's like these office resale stores.
Yes.
I've bought furniture from those places when I had a business too. Instead of buying brand new like office furniture, we'd go there and buy all the chairs and desks and stuff.
So I really love that idea because I'm always on can overload. It's like, where do I put my cans? And then I don't want people just staring at the cans. I'd rather them be like, oh, wow, you have a lot of file cabinets. Then you have a lot of canned goods sitting there, right? So, yeah, for big houses, Garden Girl mentioned this too. For big houses in Texas, like the storage actually sucks in them. It's just kind of wasted space. Crazy?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other one I was thinking about was gasoline, right? And like oil and grease, that kind of thing. They're bulky to store. They deteriorate really quickly. So you got to rotate. And they have bad vapors. So, you know, it's going to take some extra like storage thought if you don't have a barn. And if you're, you know, in an apartment, like where are you going to store gasoline, right? That'd be a tough one. But it's going to be so helpful in your vehicle. Maybe if you're in an apartment, you got to do like you did with the auxiliary, the extra tank you just put on the truck. And that way you store it right there on your truck.
Yeah. And I mean, then if you're going to a place, you got all that extra gas. And you can get them. They're not cheap. And I had really wanted to get this for my Toyota. You can get them that go under so you don't even know. They can go under SUVs and stuff.
Yeah.
When I was doing my pickup truck, the garage was telling me how people would buy like Blazers or Bronco gas tanks because they went in the back, left to right. It's a typical pickup truck has the front to back on one of the sides, right?
Okay.
And people would drop the spare tire, put the spare gas tank up in that cavity, and then you'd put like the spare tire on the rack on the back or something.
Yeah.
And that's an economical way of getting it done.
And being able to store it.
Yeah. I was looking at $3,000 or some crazy crap because it was coming from Australia. Maybe I can get the Joker I went up with when she comes up.
Yeah. Hey, she always needs stuff shipped back to Australia, so they're always hitting me up like, can we ship it to your house? Yes.
Should be a tank.
Right?
They have a company that custom manufactures them. A lot of overlanders, all the Forerunners and
yeah, because they have to go extra far across the outback. A lot of times they don't have like fuel up stations.
So it was sweet. It's like $1,600 for the tank itself, plus all the shipping and installation and all this. It was like $4,000 at the end. So go into a junkyard and getting a tank off of a Blazer or a Bronco, and it's a lot cheaper. A couple $100, and then you figure out the plumbing yourself.
All right, other fuels that are good, kerosene, propane, both of those, they store for a long term, and you're not going to have very much degradation as they store. So fuel for cooking, you can do propane and just store it propane. They have the little jugs, they have the big jugs, you got a multitude of options there. Kerosene, not so much used, I'm not sure if like the Midwest is still using it like crazy, because it's been a while since I lived there. But I know in the West and the South, it's not as popular like as propane is. But in the Midwest, we used to use kerosene for a lot of stuff. It's a very versatile fuel, good for cooking, that kind of thing, heating. So those are both good ideas for, we're in a grid down situation and I can't store firewood at my apartment. So what am I going to use to run my burner, right? You can do the propane systems. Like a Coleman, like you're camping, right? Mm. Then I was thinking about medical supplies, because I don't know if you've ever stored medical supplies for a long time. That age, the heat, those kinds of things that affect food are also going to affect your medical supplies, right? Right. The seals start breaking, then things are not sanitary. They're not sterile anymore. So it was a little bit harder to find information on this one. mycomedical.com had a good article. And of course, it's written more for medical offices that are storing stuff, longer. But it was still very, very relevant.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So why it really matters is because you want to prevent contamination of those things that are supposed to be sterile. You maintain the product integrity. So, the longer you store some medications, they're going to start to degrade, not as fast as what they tell us, but, and then ensures access. So, you don't want to take all of your stuff to treat a laceration and it's at the very back because you don't use it very often. And now you can't find it when somebody's bleeding all over the place, right? So there has to be a thought process to this. And
yeah, when we were thinking, when you sent me what the show topic was going to be, that was one of the first things I think on the list is to think about it. Don't just run out and buy stuff, but think about it. Take a weekend to just look in your house, think about what could happen in your area, think about what you're planning for, think about what you need. Think about, you were talking about how much water you need, how much food you need, for your family.
Yeah.
Before you just start buying stuff.
What does that look like in the space you have? Yeah. Don't just impulse buy it.
Plan. A pencil and a pad of paper might be your first chore, right? It's not it's not the glamorous part of prepping, but it's probably one of the most important parts is to
oh my gosh, you have to prep for your preps.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're killing us, Chen.
I'm sorry. I know I'm boring. Comms and planning.
Oh, comms and planning. Oh boy, it's a good thing I got you around.
Cool pews, and here I am taking pencils and batteries and.
No, we love it. It's so important. It really is, because you can't just store this stuff all over the top of each other, or else now you have product that could be contaminated, contaminating other products. It's a mess to deal with. And it's just not going to do you well when you need it. Let's see. Garden Girl says food grade tubs from Kroger Bakery, and then put the medical supplies in them sealed in their packages. That's a great idea too. Vacuum sealing a good portion of your Band-Aids and stuff to help make them store longer. That's a great idea. I never even thought about that. That's why I love the chat. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. So yeah, that would definitely help against like humidity. You got to make sure also that, if you've got kiddos around, you can't just be like, oh, well, here's all our medical supplies. Have fun. There has to be some training that goes on there, just like a firearm. This is what you're allowed to touch. This is what you're not allowed to touch. These are the rules of the medical supplies. Also, do inventory. I used to have like the bomb set up for medical stuff. I had it like tackle boxes all ready to go, labeled, color coded, train the family on what to grab for what emergency. And then life went on and we used a ton of stuff out of it, and I never like replaced it on the capacity that we were using it. And now it's a mess. I have to like go through and just reorganize everything again. I had kits in every car, all of that stuff, like the chapstick melted all over the packages, that kind of thing. Ooh, I wonder if the vacuum sealing would work for chapstick as well, to keep it in there longer.
Yeah, but it's still temperature sensitive.
Right? Yeah, I mean...
Texas.
I know. Oh, you know how I always tout my little the mouse trap that has like the you take a bottle and put it up top with peanut butter coating, and then they come up the ramp, they hit the bottle, they fall in the bucket. Boom. It works so good. So I set one of those up in Texas. I come out the next day, I'm like, dude, where'd all the peanut butter go?
Melted.
It melted off into the water. I was like, oh, I didn't think about that one. Okay, let's continue on. So batteries was the other one that I thought of because of Chin. I was like, what would Chin think of? Batteries. Chin would be thinking batteries. So, batteries, always remove them from items that you're not using. What about the Baofangs? Do you think, like, I leave them on their chargers. Do you think that...
I don't know that you should stay on the chargers all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the things that said, like, you should remove
I'm not sure
it.
if that's good for the batteries, and the other thing is, if it's not on some kind of, like, surge protector, you could damage them during stuff, so...
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I thought that was a good way, but I guess not. Because I was like, well, it'll always be charged.
Probably have, a couple sets of batteries. And
extra. 2 is 1, 1 is none. I'm actually supposed to apply that to my batteries too.
to your life. Yeah. So you want to, every whatever pick, first of the month you check your batteries, that kind of thing, or whatever it is, every couple months. I mean, you probably have an idea how long those batteries are probably, maybe every quarter. Just put it on your calendar or in your phone reminder. Mm-hmm. Daytime or whatever you use to stay organized for things that aren't happening every day. And just check. I know, like on my power tool batteries, I like to keep those topped off too, just because my power tools, I have like air inflators and flashlights.
Right. So do you just leave it sitting then in the charger?
Yeah. So I always try to, like, every once in a while I'll just go through and tap the battery to see what the indicator said, how full it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
is it time?
Because if we have a storm, what I did once I started down the road of one manufacturer for the rechargeable batteries for power tools, I got everything. So literally I have flashlights, fans, little like plug-ins.
I can just imagine your like utility room with like the chargers and like he's got like sidearm
drills runs off the same battery pack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. That is cool. No, that's a good idea. We have a couple different brands here, so yeah, we have.
And then the other secret to that is usually Black Friday. They have crazy sales on these power tools and batteries, and every year I pick up a new thing, and a lot of times it comes with additional batteries or something. Like you get 2 batteries for the price of 1 and stuff like that. So I always kind of every Christmas I buy myself a present.
Well, this, I just want to mention the article that I checked out was lifestorage.com. Pretty cool site. And this one was how to store batteries. And I just thought it was cool that they created like a whole website that was like life storage. They just talk about storing things for like ever. So, and then with the regular batteries, I used to just like take them out and throw them in plastic bags and then throw them all in a tub. Turns out that's no, you shouldn't do that.
This year for Christmas, I got a battery organizer that's slick.
Oh,
So you put all the different types of batteries. It's a little suitcase-looking thing.
That's cool. Yeah, I think I've seen one before.
Love it. It. Like whenever I need a battery, something, with a flashlight or something, I just go to that, or I carry that out to, if I have headlights on.
I think that Christian was doing a fundraiser, and there was one of those in there.
One of those?
Yeah,
oh, that's well worth it.
Yeah, I ended up getting like the Christmas paper organizer, and it was the worst.
You should have bought the battery.
Yeah, it was the worst.
Because then you could stock all your batteries in there, and like.
Yep. No, I
like,
should. I'm putting that in my notes. I'm putting it in my notes. Battery organizer, because my system sucks, man.
Yeah.
And
right?
It's really important for the D batteries. Like, they can start fires and stuff if you're not storing them properly. So they definitely run out of juice. Or the E ones, right? The ones that have the two things on the top.
9 volts.
Yeah, 9 volts. Those ones. Because they can actually, like, create and then burn it down. Oh, even has a tester? The battery caddy?
Yeah, it's all together.
Yeah.
It's all together.
Yeah. All right. That's happening. All right, guys. That is consensus. You got to look out for the battery caddy. Even has a tester. All right. Beautiful deal. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into Changing Earth news, because we're going to have a long show today, but that's okay. It'll just drive my OCD nuts. All right. Here we go.
Dream. Survive. Thrive. This is Changing Earth News.
Thank you, Intrepid Commander, for the new Changing Earth News reel. I know he's in there in the chat, so that's why I want to let him know. And we're playing it. I liked it. It grew on me. So, alrighty. Changing Earth, April 14th, 2024. We have had a pretty quiet sun the past week. It's been kind of a calm before the storm. They can actually see with some of our technology, like what's on the backside of the sun and coming. And I know, especially if it's like really intense activity, they're able to see like
Pink Floyd, Dark the Moon.
Yeah, it's like because of the chemical compound of it, they can see like what's happening on the backside. I mean, I just report the news. I'm not one of the scientists. Like, I understand a good deal of it now from watching Suspicious Observers for so long, but I don't claim to be any kind of expert in that area. But we can see that there is some intense activity headed our way, so we're definitely going to have eyes on sun next week. We're already getting like some M-class flares that are all glancing blows, but yeah, we're definitely going to keep our eyes on that next week. So heads up there. If I see anything like super important, I'll even try to throw it over into the chat box on Element for everyone. Okay, so the solar eclipse happened, and where I am in Texas, we were directly underneath the totality line, and it was amazing. It was like a spiritual event. I'm not even gonna lie. It was breathtaking. It was something that, I didn't think it would have a big impact on me as it did. So if you ever get the opportunity, that was just the coolest thing. It went like pitch black. And then it starts with like this tiny red light on the bottom. And then what was partially cloudy. So the light like literally started dancing off of the sun, and it looked like an angel was coming down. It was incredible. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with it's Felicima. It's these kids that believe they saw the Virgin Mary, and then the Virgin Mary was like, I'm going to give you a sign for everybody to see. And then they saw the sun actually like dancing in the sky, and like thousands of people saw it. And it just makes me curious, like, was this what the experience they were seeing? It's called like Felicima, the prophecy of Felicima, I want to say. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but look it up. You'll be able to see that story. But that's all I can think about. So very cool experience. Okay, on April 8th, 2024, there was 360 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.2 in the South Pacific Ocean near Tonga. There was a 4.8 in New York. They are concerned that New York might not be earthquake ready. Good luck. It's a little late, I think. The South African Cape was just annihilated in the storm. Came up fast, came up hard, 75-mile-an-hour winds, strong storm surges, and so that was a big event for them. Also on the 8th, the island of Crete in Greece was battling wildfires well ahead of season. It was a lot of arson activity they were reporting. So there was also 600 acres that burned in Harrison County, Mississippi on the 8th. On the 9th of April, there was 419 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 6.5 in the Molucca Sea near Indonesia. There was also a 4.1 in New Zealand. And Campi Flegrei started having unusually high steam activity and over 100 earthquakes. If you guys remember from listening to the show, Campi Flegrei is a super volcano that's sitting over in Italy that has had eruptive activity in the past, but could be a Yellowstone type event. Like a little bit more concern about Campi Flegrei than Yellowstone, because at least Yellowstone vents itself, but Campi Flegrei only vents itself every few years in eruptive activity. So there's that. That's definitely one I'm keeping my eye on for sure. On the 10th of April, there was 395 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. The biggest of which was a 5.4 in Xinjiang, China. In France, if you look at it on YouTube, it was pretty cool. There were these giant waves crashing over the seawall, literally flooding the streets. It happened in West France. Big storm day over there in Europe. Britain had over 200 people evacuated on the island of Man, which is like kind of in the middle, or Isle of Man. And severe storm, wind, flooding. That storm begins with a K. I think it was like Karina or Karinka or something like that. In Sydney, Australia, they got hit with another round of storms. It seems like they've just been battling flooding for a while over there. In Indiana, they had a tornado touchdown on the 10th. In Woodland County, Oklahoma, 2 firefighters were hospitalized battling wildfires that have been popping up there. I didn't really see a reason why the fires have been popping up there in Oklahoma. I mean, I guess it could be attributed to the storm activity that was coming in, lots of lightning strikes, things like that. So that's a possible reason. In Poland, in this mountain meadow area, I cannot say the name of it. It's like Bieszczady Mountain Meadows. They had a big wildfire event up there in Poland. On April 11th of 2024, there was 392 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.2 in the Philippines. This is the day the Gulf Coast got hit hard with storms. Louisiana, Texas, 7 tornadoes touched down. We had flooding going on, not specifically at my house, but in the towns near us. Tornado alarms going off within 20 minutes of our house. And then New Orleans went under a flash flood warning. And so lots of activity happening in the Gulf area on the 11th. Guatemala went under a state of emergency on the 11th. 44 wildfires are burning. 200 people had to seek medical attention due to smoke inhalation. On April 12th, there was 363 earthquakes over 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.8 in the Solomon Sea near the Solomon Islands. Rains caused flooding on the East Coast, so that storm moved through everywhere from South Carolina up. Pennsylvania got particularly hammered. Pittsburgh broke flood records that they had set in the past. Perth, Australia also got hit with a freak storm, dumped almost 100 millimeters of water in a very little time. It just absolutely hit people's roofs and caused a lot of destruction over there. St. Augustine, Florida, there was a tornado touchdown. And in Kansas and Riley County, there was a 3,000-acre fire over there that popped up. On April 13th of 2024, there was 391 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.5 in Tibet, China. There was a 4.0 earthquake in Northern California in the Pacific Ocean. Flooding, there's a major flooding event going on in southern Russia. It is not abating. Last week we talked about it. It was just happening. They had some very big rain events over there. It broke this dam. 120,000 people have now been forced from their homes because of the flooding that's going on over there. Thousands of livestock dead. So what they're doing is they're actually going downriver now and exploding some of the artificial dams that have been built because they're trying to get this water out of there. Because it is just completely getting flooded. Yeah, it's pretty crazy if you look it up. It's we don't hear anything about it here because it's happening in Russia. You know, they're supposed to be our enemy and everything, but it's a very big humanitarian concern over there with what's going on. 120,000 people is a lot of people to be affected. In Kauai, Hawaii, they are trying to clean up from flooding that they just had. More rain on the way, so that's putting them in a spot. In Nairobi, they had flooding affecting many parts of the city, and the Taal volcano erupted unexpectedly with a rather explosive eruption. Nothing compared to what happened a few Februarys ago. On today, April 14th, 352 earthquakes of 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which is a 5.3 in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. That Mid-Atlantic Ridge is still moving. And California is having a spring storm drop in temperatures there, 20 to 30 degree temperature drop in one day, which is big news for California, but that happens in Texas like all the time. It's just rapid swings. If you'll notice, we were down on our earthquake activity. That's because the sun's really been chill, taking a back seat. But we had all that earthquake going on before, and it usually takes a couple weeks for that earthquake activity to affect our volcano activity. That's exactly what's happening this week. We currently have 31 erupting volcanoes on our planet. I was looking back at my notebooks and I've been recording this stuff since like 2020, 2021. And 31 is pretty much like top. I've never seen more than 31. There might have been one day there was 32. But man, it's peaking out. That's a lot of volcanic eruptivity. There's only 19 showing minor activity though, and there's only 29 showing unrest. So it's actually down one volcano from last week as far as like what's being reported. Wildfires in the United States, we have upticked a little bit again. We were only at like 3,000 acres last week, which is hardly even worth mentioning. But this week, we're at 21,352 acres. There's 31 new fires. 7 of them are large. 26 of them are contained. Number one state reporting activity is Kansas, with 2 new fires burning 13,271 acres. It is not contained at all. Number 2 on the list is Oklahoma, with 14 new fires, 2 currently burning, 5,665 acres, and 12 of those, as I mentioned, are contained. And then North Dakota came up on the list. Don't actually see them very often on the list. They have 1 new fire, 1,365 acres that is not contained. And also South Dakota is on the list. I just had to like include them because Big Brother was on the list. So like South Dakota's going to go on the list too, right? They have one new fire, 751 acres, and it is not contained at this time. Alrighty. Great show today. A little bit of...
It's a lot.
I know.
Packed a lot in. So, holy smokes.
I did. I went for the Doug Hail Mary last minute. Because I was like, this is why supply organization is important. Because right now, man, we got to make sure we're shored up. You know, any investment that you make now is going to be well worth it. Because I've been watching... the inflation's coming. It's going to rock us hard. If you look at what Germany looked like right before it went down, what Venezuela's number looked like right before they went down, we're sitting in the same position, and they're getting ready to like dump the dollar as the world trade unit. And I just don't think that America's prepared for this at all. Most of America is just going to be like, what? I was supposed to actually like pay attention to that, you know? I was worried about what Kardashian was doing or whatever, you know? I just, it's spooky. So, get ready, guys. Get stocked up. Get it organized. You know, don't freak out. God's got us, but stay aware. Doing what you can to make a difference in this world. And if you want to make a difference for the changing earth, of course, go over to ChangingEarthSeries.com, become a subscriber, help the Changing Earth world go around, get me out to some more classes, and do some more teaching. So, alrighty, guys, long show. So until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.